Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. I'm your host, Robbie Basel, and you're probably wondering why your boy is wearing a suit. Well, there's big news to discuss, so let's jump right into it. You probably saw my Instagram on Wednesday, since this is being recorded on Thursday, ahead of the episode for you guys on Friday. You probably saw on Wednesday that there was a big announcement that's coming up for Into the Stands. And I'm going to show you right now what your change will look like. I'm going to share my screen. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Into the Stands. New logo. So put it in full screen. Let's just dive right into this. So Into the Stands, you know the logo from last year. It was black with all the sports with the microphone. Colin designed it. We all had a piece in it, of course. New colors this year. Whole new color scheme. We have the maroon in the background with the gold letters, the microphone logo at the top. It looks really clean. Myself, Colin, and Chris are really excited to bring this new look into the stands ahead of the 2023-24 school year, and of course season 2 Into the Stands, which is hopefully going to be coming to you guys in mid to late September. So big news on that. It's really exciting. We're really excited I'm excited to be going back to work with the guys. They're hopefully excited to have me back. You guys are going to see them on a video in hopefully a couple of weeks. So make sure to subscribe, like the video for the new Into the Stands logo. I'm really pumped to have it. They're really pumped to have it. And I'm just really excited, of course, to get back to work with the Into the Stands team. And, of course, to record on WIUR. Once we start doing those videos, of course, this show will be staying. I don't know how the recordings are going to work, if I'm going to be doing one show a week, 2 shows a week. That'll all be found out probably in early to mid-September as well. So make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, and, of course, follow myself, rbasel_11 on Instagram, and, of course, this show, the Robbie Basel Show on Instagram, and of course Into the Stands. They have an Instagram as well, so make sure to follow all three the suit shows. Of course myself, and of course Colin and Chris, the other guys from Into the Stands. Their Instagrams are going to be in the bio of Into the Stands. So if you want to follow them, make sure you go check everything out. But I want to start today's show a little different than usual. And, of course, I'm wearing a suit. That was not the only reason why I was wearing a suit. This is going to be a commentary start, for real, this time, with the episode today. And the reason why I'm doing this is very simple. If you are a fan of the New York Yankees, you know about Laz Diaz and the game when he threw out Aaron Boone, and Aaron Boone's infamous new meme when he did the strikeout imitation, like how Laz Diaz does it. And I saw across Instagram, Twitter, the outrage, and being a referee myself, I feel like I've gotten criticism before. Myself, I know other soccer referees, umpires, basketball refs, they can be wrong. But the reaction by players, coaches, and fans, I think, is totally wrong. So, in spite of this, I wrote a commentary to, have some fun with this. And here it is. To those who complain about the officials in sports, maybe something else need to change. I'm Robbie Basel, and to those who say that referees, umpires, and officials need to go, I say pump the brakes for a second. Look at what sports would be like without referees and officials. There would be no tip-off in basketball. No puck drops in hockey. Players can fight each other in football, and every pitch would be a strike in baseball. I don't think fans in any sport would want something like this to happen. And if you have something like this occur, there could be no games, there could be no season, there could be nothing to look forward to in sports. It's an interesting way to look at it. Like, say, for example, your favorite team is about to step up to the plate, and a curveball is thrown in the dirt, and the catcher or whatever they want to call an official then calls it a strike. The lack of professionalism that sports would accustomed to would be tragic. And the problem would be that viewership would go down, money would go down, everything would decline. Even with the on-field product and all the big names still playing the game. The popularity of games would go, everything else would be thrown to the wayside. People are human. Referees, umpires, and everything else are human. You can complain with them all you want. But when you're in a basketball game and you get a reaching foul called on you with 3 minutes left, for example, you can't go back and change the call. There's a strike thrown on an outside corner that you think is a ball. Umpire ain't gonna change it. If there's a controversial penalty kick in a soccer game, they most likely won't change it. So take a look at yourselves, sports fans, and understand that referees, they have a job to do. Maybe other fans should go back to their regular jobs instead of complaining about people possibly losing their own. The reason I did this commentary, and while I was kind of scuffed, is because my notes were below me, and of course that's unprofessional enough. If you know from the Bruce Beck Sports Broadcasting Camp, usually I would have like a teleprompter. I didn't have a teleprompter in front of me. I had my notes below me, and I made that mistake. But the big thing with this commentary was that fans are sometimes very biased to their own teams. And I see this all the time. My issue is, when fans go out and say, these guys shouldn't even have a job. Like, have any fans, do they know what it's like to go out and ref a game? I don't think a lot of fans know what this is like. And I questioned that myself before I became a soccer referee. I questioned the same thing. So what did I do? I became a soccer ref. I make great money off of it, of course, for myself. But it's way harder than what fans think it is. ARs in soccer, people think it's just lifting a flag and doing everything else. Do you know how much you have to possibly run for this? How close some of these calls can be? No one really recognizes this. Baseball, balls and strikes. Do you know how fractional the zone is if you stand behind the plate? It's way tougher than it seems. Basketball, when you see a loose ball go out of bounds, you don't know who it goes off of, and you pick the wrong team. Do you know what kind of reaction you're going to get out of this? It makes you reflect as a player, because I did the same reflection, by the way, where I eventually stopped yelling at referees as much, because I knew what it was like. I mean, I became one. I've been a soccer referee for 5 years, for almost over half a decade, and the hate that the referees get, I think, is unnecessary. They can be wrong. They're human too. If you want robots reffing games, how delayed their whistles and everything would be catastrophic, and no league in the world can afford it. You could change rules all you want to take referees out of play. Referees will be in sports forever. Enough about commentaries and all that. Let's get to some sports news, shall we? So, my first thing today is we are going to talk about the Premier League. And there's two big notes from the Premier League. So what I'm going to do is going to go into some of the bigger matchups ahead of match day 1, which begins the day that this video goes posted on Friday. You have Saturday and Sunday. I believe there's a game on Monday too. Yes, there is. So without further ado, let's go into some of the bigger matchups, starting with Burnley and Man City. I love this matchup. This game's on Friday. This is my game, of course, the game to watch for the day, as always. Man City, according to this win probability, has 74% chance to win, 16% chance to draw, and 10% odds to lose. I'm looking at Burnley. They've made some moves. They did a lot of positive things. They have the best goal-scoring squad from the championship last year. The question with Burnley is, one, I hate that they have to play City first, because I think it would beat a lot of lower table sides in match day 1. I think they would. It's going to be a big reality check for both teams. If Burnley goes out and gets a result, one, how the hell would they do this? But the uproar from outsiders would be catastrophic. Because remember, City went out and lost the Community Shield last week. They go out and go to Turf Moor and drop points to Burnley, a championship side, getting recently promoted? The outcome of this would be horrendous for everybody. Because then you'd have all these incompetent fans thinking that, wow, we're all better than City, when there's no team better than Manchester City, not only in the Premier League, but in the world, due to injuries or other excuses that teams can make. So Man City, I like them a lot. I think this game will be a 2-0. Haaland's probably going to score his first goal in I don't know how many months now, but you'll see him score a goal. And then I like a goal from Jack Grealish. I like a goal from Grealish. They're a fun team to watch out for, and I think that's definitely a game to watch out for for Friday. Saturday, talk about 3 games. First one, Arsenal. I knew you had to have known I was going to talk about this game. Arsenal has an 82% chance to win, 12% chance to draw, and 6% odds to lose to Nottingham Forest at home at the Emirates. Now let me talk to you a little bit about Arsenal. For those who don't know anything about Arsenal. Arsenal last season had like 250 days or whatever the hell it was in first place and bottled it to Manchester City because it's tradition. Every team I like has to go out and bottle something. So just like the Jets, the Mets, and now Arsenal. So if last year was great, but Arsenal, they're going to have a lot of expectation. Last year they didn't have as much expectations. Now they're going to have a lot. And the problem with Arsenal, they don't really have a true number 9 as a center forward. They've lost Gabriel Jesus, who's going to be out for this game. They might have Balogun as striker, and Nketiah, maybe even Kai Havertz as a number 9 and move somebody else into the midfield, maybe like a Smith Rowe or somebody else. But there's options that Arsenal have. I don't know how they play this. Great to give the lineup. Here's what I would throw out on the field. You'd have, of course, Ramsdale in net. The 4 of Timber from right to left. We'll have Timber with Saliba and Gabriel at center back, and then you have Zinchenko. Midfield, you'd have Odegaard, Havertz, and Rice. And then I would go with Martinelli on the left, Balogun at center forward, and then Saka on the right. I think that's a team that will beat Nottingham Forest 2-0 easily, but I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-0. I like Saka. He's going to score at least one. I like Odegaard. He's, I think, one of the most underrated. I don't even think you can call underrated anymore. He's one of the best attacking midfielders, I think, in the world. And, of course, I think a goal from Kai Havertz. His first goal as an Arsenal player in a league match. I think it'll be a great thing to see. Arsenal wins 3-0. Forest have made some moves. I mean, they just got Arsenal stud and United States men's national team stud Matt Turner, but they're not going to do much. 3-0, I think, is going to be the result. But a more competent match is going to be Newcastle and Villa. This game screams 0-0. So if you like defense and a couple chances here and there, this is the game to watch. This match is at Saturday at 12:30. It's going to be a fun one. I like this match a lot. Newcastle coming off one of their highest finishes since they won the league over 30 years ago. You have a squad that has the talents of players such as Alexander Isak. They've added Tonali. They have a decent keeper net and Nick Pope, who I think is really underrated. And, of course, you have Aston Villa, who have added players. I mean, they have guys like a Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, and there's so many other players that you can name on this Aston Villa side. Let's name you a couple, actually. I believe Danny Ings is on this team. I might be wrong. You have key players. No, wrong team. He's on West Ham. You have Emi Martinez in net with Ollie Watkins, Coutinho, Pau Torres, who they just added. They have some of these other players that you might know a little bit as well. Let me find one of them. Matty Cash in the midfield. So, Aaron Ramsey, former Arsenal man, he's on Aston Villa. I didn't even know that one. So, and of course, you can't go on this team without forgetting their new signing from Leicester and Yuri Tillmans, who I love Yuri Tillmans. I wish he was an Arsenal player. But Aston Villa have some players. Newcastle's added a little bit as well. I think it's going to be a 0-0 or 1-1. Expect both teams, though, to be going at each other offensively. Just no one can actually finish anything. So that's my prediction on that one. And one more game to watch out for in the morning. There's not a lot of good ones. But how can I go with this match? How can I go this? I was actually going to think Luton Town for the opener, but I'm not going to go with Luton Town. I am going to go with Bournemouth West Ham. And these two teams, I think this is the most balanced matchup of match day 1, other than Newcastle and Aston Villa. West Ham just lost Declan Rice. They've actually recently are going to be adding Harry Maguire, which I don't know why. I think it's okay, but nothing crazy for $30 million. They've had other pieces on the team like Danny Ings, Fabianski, Paqueta, who actually might be leaving for City soon. And then you go out with a team like Bournemouth, who they've added a little bit, but their defense is really lackluster. They've have not a lot of players that you would think of are like world class. They have Welsh stud Kiefer Moore, just to name someone that I know. They have a couple of decent players. The question is it enough to go out and stop a team like a West Ham? I think this match is going to be a 1-0 to West Ham. I like both teams. This seems to be very balanced. A lot of back and forth, but in the end, I think this matchup will be going to West Ham. The Hammers go out and win this one. And how can you go Sunday without mentioning Chelsea-Liverpool? This is the game of the weekend. Chelsea-Liverpool. How can you not go look at these two teams? Chelsea, who've lost a lot of pieces. Let's go and name a couple. You lose Mason Mount, Koulibaly. They lose Edouard Mendy, Conte. That's just some of the pieces. Havertz as well. You've added a little bit. Nick Jackson and Nkunku's out for like 4 months, which is unfortunate. But then you go up against a team like Liverpool with added Dominic Szoboszlai, for the Hungarian midfielder. You've had Alexis McAllister in the midfield, replacing those old players and getting a new look into the squad. I don't like their number 9 situation. Maybe you can put Szoboszlai in there if you really wanted to. But I like this new Liverpool. I like the 2 signings with McAllister and Szoboszlai. I expect them both to start in match day 1, replacing the likes of Jordan Henderson, whoever else they had in the midfield at this point. I like Liverpool in this match, even though it's on the road. I'm going to say it's a 2-1. I feel like this game will be more interesting than I'm making it seem to be. But at the end of the day, Chelsea-Liverpool is going to be the match of the weekend, and it's not going to be close. And we'll quickly talk about the game on Monday because there's some news about this matchup for Monday, and that was with a managerial shift from Wolves. And Wolves have sacked Lopetegui, their manager, Julian Lopetegui, who I'm a big fan of, by the way. I love Lopetegui. He got sacked by Wolves the week before the match. Now, I don't know how incompetent or stupid, whatever words you want to use for this is, but, like, what are we doing? Why would you sack your man? You had forever to figure this out. And you go out and do it a week before your opening match? Like, come on, man. The week before? What are we doing? Like, this is just like a bad look for Wolves. There's been a bad look on a lot of these teams for how they handled this offseason. But they replaced him with Gary O'Neill, who's okay. He was from Bournemouth. He doesn't play defense. So this should be a lot of fun. But Wolves are going to lose 3-0 to United. They've added Mason Mount, who some say will be a flop. I don't like Onana, the signing of Onana. I do like the signing of Rasmus Højlund, and you'll hear more about Højlund. I can talk about him for hours, but you'll hear that when we do. I have officially posted the Premier League prediction video. That is going to come out in late August or the first full week of September, maybe even on Labor Day, maybe. I don't know when that video is going to come out. I think it might come out on Labor Day because the NFL season starts the Thursday. The NFL season prediction video will go on Friday. Then we have the Prem video, and then the Champions League video, and then it'll be the next video of updates from the first couple weeks of September. I think that's going to be the schedule, but things can change, so make sure to follow all the pages to find out the latest information on all that. But, so the Premier League is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of other excitement to talk about from yesterday. And that is we have another no-hitter. I love this, in a way. How so? The no-hitter was thrown by Michael Lorenzen. Now, for those who don't know Michael Lorenzen, let's look at Michael Lorenzen's career and just tell you how crazy he's been. He started out in 2015 with the Reds. He played with them until the end of 2021. He had an ERA. He was inconsistent a little bit. Had an ERA as low as 2.88 in 2016, but got it all the way up to a 5.59 in 2021, which then he left, went to the Angels, had 1 year with the Angels, went 8-6 to the 4.24, started the year with the Tigers, and then through 2 starts with the Phillies, he threw his first career complete game, and it was a no-hitter. In his first start at home with the Phillies, in his first 2 starts, he has allowed 2 total runs, 2-0 with a 1.06 ERA and a whip at .65. He is gross. He's just probably one of the biggest wins of the trade deadline was trading for Michael Lorenzen. I didn't think I'd be saying that, but Michael Lorenzen's proved to be a very valuable piece for the Phillies. As if you really want to go look at this deeper, they are one of the teams that are coming back late, and this is like traditional Philadelphia, where they actually want to go out and do stuff late in the season. They've won 7 of 10. They're actually making a move on the division a little bit. They're still only 10 out. They're still 10 out, but like a lot of these teams are making some moves. But there's teams falling away. I mean, remember from the previous videos I spoke about the Diamondbacks, and they should have added more at the deadline. They costed themselves. They've lost 9 of 10 and are falling away. But what some of these teams have done is impressive, and the Phillies are one of them. I mean, if you were going to tell me that Michael Lorenzen was going to be the steal of the deadline, I thought you would have been crazy. But Michael Lorenzen is proving to be a very crucial signing for Philadelphia, and it's good to see. So, other than that, there wasn't a lot of big baseball news recently. The Mets, once again, have disappointed. They are still 20.5 out. You have the Reds, who are falling away. They've lost 8 of 10. So what we've seen is the big teams from the first half, like not big teams, but like the big stories. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Miami for the National League and the American League. It was all about, let me find them out, the Angels. You were all about, Boston was in the mix earlier. They're somewhat falling away. Boston not as much. I mean, granted, they've lost 7 of 10. You've had the Angels lose 7 of 10. The Angels, like I've said, I've spoken about the Angels a lot on this thing and saying that they really effed up and messed up how they've handled the Ohtani situation, how I think they're going to lose Shohei Ohtani, all that and more. You can go watch previous episodes about all that nonsense. But the team, like the Philadelphia, going back to them, I've always questioned what they've done at the deadline in years past. Not on podcasts, just like talking to my friends and all that. I've always questioned what Philadelphia has done. This is the first time I haven't done that. I mean, you go out and add I question the early stages of why trade for Michael Lorenzen. They are proving that Michael Lorenzen was what will be the best trade piece out of the deadline through the first couple of weeks. I don't think a lot of people had him on their radar as the best player traded away in the first couple of weeks, the best performer from the deadline in the first couple of weeks. So, MLB has been crazy. The NFL training camps, I know people were going to ask about training camps. NFL preseason, actually, we'll talk about that real quick. NFL preseason starts, I believe, the official games begin on the day we're recording this. The games start on Thursday with games also on Friday. So I'll talk about one game on Thursday. One big thing I like about these preseason games is that you get to learn about players you've never heard of before. And what I've learned in these two-team practices are, one, the Jets' offense is concerning me already because Aaron Rodgers is getting frustrated. You don't want that with a guy who hasn't even played a real game for them yet. That's concerning enough. What's also concerning is that my hype on the Falcons this year, their defense looks terrible. So, not a hot start for them, both teams, but the game I want to watch for is, I want to see from the preseason, I'm interested to see in the first week how many big names play. Quarterbacks, you'll see maybe like them play one quarter or 3 series or whatever. So the rookies you'll probably, hopefully see. And that's why one of the games to watch, if I could find it here, is Jets-Panthers on Saturday. Will we see Bryce Young play the Jets defense? And what Jets defenders will we see play in this first preseason game? Like, I'm interested to see how much they play Quentin Williams in the preseason. I'm interested to see how much they play Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, CJ Mosley. I'm interested to see how many players the Jets actually play on defense. And then offensively, I think they have to play the O-line a little bit in the preseason. You have to possibly see some big-name receivers like Alan Lazard and maybe Garrett Wilson maybe play a game in the preseason or a little bit in some other games as well. But at the end of the day, I'm just interested to see who plays when for the Jets especially. And for the rookies, I'm the first one talking about is Young. how much will they play Bryce Young in the opening game? I think they should play him a quarter max, maybe 3 series, depending on how many series they get in the first quarter. First quarter, definitely. I think that's as much as rookies should play the opening game, but maybe 1 quarter and then a half in week 2 and then not play week 3. That's how I would do it, but usually I'm totally wrong about this stuff, so I don't know. But that's one game I want to watch out for. And then where's the other one? With the Texans, they play actually the night before this video comes out. So the Texans will, hopefully we see C.J. Stroud. I'm interested to see if we see C.J. Stroud tonight. That's another player to watch out for. I'm interested, really, though. Actually, I'm looking at the wrong. Actually, no, I am looking at the right week. I thought preseason week 1. This is listed as week 2. But, as well, Buffalo, I forgot to mention Buffalo and Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. Just another quarterback to throw out there. You're really interested to see how these young rookies go out and about, go and see how they look playing their game, their style of play, and how it translates to the NFL in their first couple of preseason games. This is like the test to see how good these guys can go up against the lesser players in the NFL. And then when you go into actual week 1, I'll be questioning for sure if I can find this is preseason schedule. So I can't even load it. Like, say for example, we'll go with Anthony Richardson for this. Anthony Richardson, depending on how much he plays, you'll be asking questions galore, and when they play Jacksonville on September 10th, how good or how legit will be this Indianapolis offense? Like, how legit will be other pieces around Indianapolis? That's when you ask the big questions. The goal in the preseason for these young quarterbacks is how will they look against the lesser players? And when they go up against first-team guys in actual week 1, that's when you really start asking the questions and really asking yourselves, how good is these quarterbacks really in their first game? Which I think is stupid, because really to address how I would assess a quarterback is how good do they look consistently starting from 8 games. That's when you really should start evaluating. Like, people could throw quarterbacks into the fire and ruin them and say, wow, they really suck. And then other teams can go out and develop them properly. That can happen. I have a feeling that's going to happen with one of the Jets quarterbacks in the future, Zach Wilson. I feel like that could happen to him in the future. There can be other quarterbacks that happens to in the future. But the big question is, who will be thrown into the fire and who will be developed properly? And that's my big takeaway with preseason every year. Who will be developed properly and who will be developed properly and who will be thrown into the fire? So enough on NFL preseason. Actually, I have some news for soccer. I forgot to mention this earlier. With Tottenham, I forgot to talk about Tottenham. I feel really bad. We'll quickly talk about Tottenham right here because I have the thing pulled up from earlier. Tottenham are a mess. And my EPL prediction, I'll just leak it now, have them finishing the top half of the table. That might be changing. And I wish I can go back and edit the video, but I'm not going to change it because I filmed it already with Dylan, and I don't think he wants to film that video again. Besides the point, Tottenham are looking to sell Harry Kane. Yes, you heard me right. Harry Kane could be on the move to Bayern. We're going to find out, and I'll address the whole situation on Monday if he moves or not, because he wants to move before the season begins, and based on the season beginning tomorrow, we could possibly find this out before the podcast gets posted live. When this episode goes live, I could possibly be finding out. I could possibly be finding out about this after the episode goes live. It's going to be interesting. I'll totally talk about it on Monday. I won't forget. We'll go through every Premier League match from the first weekend. We'll talk about preseason, some storylines from there. And, of course, we have transfers and all that other fun stuff to go through as well. But my final topic today, the ultimate topic of the day, was college realignment. Now, recently, during the week, we heard of teams moving out of the Pac-12 and that the Pac-12 is officially dead. I hate it. In a way, I hate it because you now have 4 teams moving to the Big 12, and based on this list, you have 4 teams moving to the Big 10. You have deals actually fall through currently with teams going to the ACC. And this always brought up videos from other content creators saying that there should be a promotion relegation system, how there's going to be implemented stuff like that. And the big thing with this for me was, one, this isn't going to affect the smaller colleges, like Iona, for example. They're going to stay in the MAC for a little bit. I believe so, at least. They could prove me wrong and go out and play in the Big East, which they would get killed and everything. But, you know, with the bigger colleges, this is more impactful. So let's go through it. So the Big 10, or it should be called the Big 18 at this point. The Big 20. I don't know. I don't know what they call it. They have 18 teams now, so they've added Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. Big 12 has 16 teams featuring Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. And already also additions, I forgot to mention this as well, they have added BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, promoting the death of the American Conference eventually. And they've also lost 2 teams in Texas and Oklahoma. They're going to the SEC to make 16 teams in the SEC, which I think is actually good. They'll be able to balance divisions more, and we won't have any more cross-divisional matchups. Heck, we might not even have divisions in sports anymore. Who knows? In college sports, at least. ACC stays put. I thought they were going to add 1. I mean, they almost added 2. And then the deal fell through because of the travel and all that, which I think is smart. I don't think they want to go coast to coast every single game, especially for the students. I think they have to think more about them in this situation and not just about lining their own pockets. Because think about it. If you have a game, if you're an Oregon player, let's go with the Big Ten reference. If you're an Oregon player and you have a basketball game, let's go basketball, on Saturday, and you are playing at home to Northwestern, I don't know, and the next day you have to go on a plane and go cross-country to go away to Rutgers, then come back home to play Indiana, then go back on the road to play Maryland. You see where I'm going with this. The cross-country flights are going to get to the players eventually, and they're worrying more about running their own pockets than the student, which I, of course, being a student, I hate it. But that's just the way it is. Promotion relegation, I don't think it will ever be considered because it's a money game. Some schools don't have the money, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, I would love to see the promotion relegation, but I don't think we'll ever see it. And at the end of the day, that's just the way it is. It's a money game. That's how every sport is now. All about the money, money, money. That is how we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know everyone maybe will be a little bit disappointed in the Into the Stands announcement in the beginning. But at the end of the day, Into the Stands is back, and it'll hopefully be back mid-September. I'm excited. I know the boys are excited. And for this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let me know what you want me to talk about on Monday or in the future. And let me know some guests you want to see. You know, I'm open to a lot of guests. I have some plans for this show with coming in regarding guests. I do have ideas, but I want to know what you guys think. Because you're the viewer. I want to know who you guys want to see on this show. But for now, that's it, the end of today's episode, and the episode number 27. I'm Robbie Basel saying good night, and I'll see you guys Monday.